Hello everybody, my name's William Steele, I'm Upside Down. I'm the artistic director of Life and Limb Puppets, and the show that you were hopefully going to see us do at Beverley Puppet Festival was Dragon. Now, as you know, that won't be going ahead now because of, situations outside. So what we're going to do instead for you is we're going to show you how to make some puppets similar to the ones you would have seen us perform with. Okay? I'm going to get out of the way now. Whoop. These are my hands, and they're going to be showing you how to make a little puppet. The type of puppet we're going to be making is a very simple one, right? But very effective. Now, as you can see, this little guy is made out of a glove, right? With a made head, okay? If I just get my fingers in there, it's his little legs. And then if I put him on the table, in he comes. Ooh, hello. What's over there? Ooh, what's over there? Look up again. Woo! And away he goes. The things that you will need to make a puppet like this are masking tape, any kitchen foil, some sort of tissue paper or kitchen roll, might need a pair of scissors, might need a pair of pliers, probably need a ruler or something to measure with, and we're going to need a little bit of glue. Any white glue will do, PVA, wood glue. We'll also need some string. Need a little bit of flocking or stuffing from somewhere, doesn't matter what it is. Could be a bit of sponge. And a pen to help us do a little bit of marking. The last things that we'll need are a safety pin. I'll put that there. And optional, 2 little dressmaking pins. The ones that have the little, these little eye bits on. Whoa, for eyes, okay? We may also need a little tub or something to use our glue in, and if you've got one, a hot glue gun. Now you don't need this, but you can use it, and it makes life a little bit easier because if you've got this, you probably don't need the pliers. We will also need a bit of wire, right? This is a wire coat hanger, very cheap one, and this will do the job famously. We will begin. So, you've seen this little guy before, okay? Now, this guy was made with hot glue. It doesn't have any wire in him. It's very soft and squidgy, right? And all he has is a rod, which is made out of a little bit of plywood or any stick you can find in the garden, that's glued in to his head with the hot glue gun. So his head was made separately, and then it was glued on to the neck here, which is basically the cuff of a glove. Okay. Now, that works very well because this is wool, a little wool glove. If your glove looks like this, hot glue might not work as well. Might melt a little bit on this. Okay. So, I won't be showing you how to make it with the hot glue, but I'll explain the hot glue as we go. What I'm going to be showing you is how to make it without hot glue. Now, what I'm about to show you is a guy who's got no face. Dun 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 dun. Right? So, as you can see, these two are pretty similar. Right? Little gloves, little heads. His isn't finished yet. Right? But this guy, no hot glue. Right? Nothing connecting the head to the body, apart from what you can see in here. Right? So I'm going to show you how to make this first, right? Assuming we don't have a hot glue gun. So, inside that little puppet is this, okay? Now that is a loop of wire there, which is taped so the string can't get out. And then this is a little loop of wire here, right, which is taped so the string doesn't move. There's a bit of tape around there as well, so this loop's whole. Now the important thing about these is that this is long enough to hold on to, a little rod, because the head's going to go around here. And this is big enough for you to comfortably get your fingers through. without it scraping on your fingers, okay? So, I'll leave that there to look at, and I will show us how we're going to do it. And this is where we're going to need our wire and our pliers. So, I'm going to quickly mark this up. So, I think we probably need, about here on there. And that is measured at, about 9 centimeters. Okay? So I'm going to cut that. There it is. Ching! And I'm going to cut this about here. So we'll have something like this. Right? What we need to do now is fold this part down. So I'm going to grab that with the pliers and I'm just going to bend it round like that. I'm going to bend it a little bit more. There we are. So now you see we've got something a little bit like this. Okay? Close that up as best as I can. Now we're going to have to get some masking tape on here. See how there's that hole there? We want to cover that up. So, time for some masking tape. So we've got the top piece, which if you remember, is this piece. Yeah? So we've got that there. Okay? Now we need the next section, alright, which is going to be this square section here. Now, for this, we need about 16 centimeters. Okay? That's for my hands, which are not super thick. Got quite thin, long hands. If you have big, thick, chunky hands, you might need a little bit more. But I found with this one, which is pretty big, 16 centimeters did it perfectly. So I'm going to measure that at 16. Get that out of the way. And chop. We don't need this anymore. You can go bye-bye. So, what we're going to do, let's take double width of the pliers. I'm just going to start turning this into the right shape. Okay? So, measuring that there against that one. I will measure this for you. We're going to want to go another 6.5. So 6.5 centimeters. That's where our next one's going to be. And this is where it gets very easy, because all we need to do is close off that top piece, right? Over it goes. Now, as you can see, I've got a little gap there. Doesn't matter, because we're going to do the same trick we did before and close it off with some tape. There we go. And as you can see, we're not getting any string escaping out of there. No, no, no. These two pieces are joined together with string. Anything that'll hold a bit of weight, because what you're going to be doing, is pulling down with this. These are going to be your little legs. And you're going to be pulling up with this, because we're going to build a head around there. Okay? So, how do I know how long my string should be? Eek, gasp. That depends on how big our glove is. So, if you get your glove, right, you can see this is where we want that to be. So I'm just going to plonk that on there, right? Wonderful. And our head is going to be obviously up here. So we can now see how much string we're going to need, right? So we're going to be tied on there, off there. I'm going to give us a little bit of extra space for the knot tying. And I'm going to chop that off there. So, I'm going to tie it onto the head first. I like to use a reef knot. And then when you pull on it, it just gets tighter. And then it can't pop undone, which is not what we want when it's under pressure. So give that a nice firm pull so that we know it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. Super. So there we are. We have our first bit on. Now, I'm going to tie up on that latter bit. And I'm going to mark up on this one where we want it to be. Okay? So we get our length right. So now that I've made my mark, I'm going to tie this onto here. Not going anywhere now. So now this is currently in the middle of our little bar, which is where we want it. We don't want it over here or over here, right? So it's time to get our masking tape again and make sure that that goes in the right place. Now that's not going anywhere either. Super. So there we go, we've got our head and we've got our bit measured out. Now, you don't need any of this if you have a glue gun, right? But what you can do if you've got a glue gun is still make this head control, right? Because what we're going to do now is build our head around here. And what we're going to use to do that is tinfoil. Tinfoil is a magic stuff for making puppet heads. Why? Because it's very light and it's sculptable. So we want to pull a bit out, probably about that much. Oh, there we go. Get that off. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to gently start folding this tinfoil around this head piece, right? If you have any small pokey things, might be useful for when it comes to sculpting the face shape later. So, I usually start in the middle and I just wrap the tinfoil round, not super tight, but I just start getting it round there. And I want to make sure that I can still get this string out of the bottom, okay? But I want to get it wrapped round this front as much as I can. Oh, get that string out of the way, right? Right, so I've got a big lump of tinfoil wrapped around that there. Right, so, and now, once I've got that, I need to start just squishing this down until it turns into something like a face. So I'm going to pinch a bit of a nose. I'm going to just meld it down a little bit, so I've got a bit of more of a face shape there. Oh, is there a bit of a mouth emerging? Oh, yes, maybe that's a mouth. Yes, that looks like a mouth. And then I'm going to fold that back. I've got a bit of a nose there. Right now, so we've got a bit of a head shape starting to come out there. Okay, see that? So I'm just getting that tinfoil nice and tight around there. You don't want to over tighten it, because if it gets too small and too hard, we can't then put in things like eye holes. You see? Get a bit of an eye hole in there. Yeah. So we've got a little eye hole, we've got a little nose, we've got that. I'm going to flatten his head out a little bit because he's got a bit of a big head. There. Right now. I know that's very shiny, quite hard to see the shape of the head, right? So what we're going to do now is cover this in masking tape. Right? So all you want to do is get out little bits, not huge big bits, and just get them stuck on to that tin foil. Right? This is like our skin. We're putting our skin on here. Okay? And it shouldn't take too long, but you want to overlap the bits. See, I put one there and then I put another one over the top of it, so it joins it. I wouldn't put like one here and then one there, right? Because we're making a skin like as we go round. Okay? And there we are. So, you can now see that that tin foil is all covered in masking tape. Yeah? All covered. See his little head shape a little bit clearer now, he's not as shiny. Yeah? Super. So all we're going to do now, right, is we are going to use little bits of tissue paper. And I'm going to get a bit of glue, like this. I'm going to rub it onto this little head that we've got here, right? And then I'm just going to plonk some tissue paper in there. I'm going to put glue over the top of that tissue paper as well. So you can see he's got a little bit of tissue paper there in his eye socket. Okay. And I'm just going to coat the rest of his head in this, so he's ready to have more of the tissue paper put on. Right, so that's now covered in tissue. Yeah. So what you need to do is put that aside to dry. We'll put that up there. So let us move on to then the body. Okay? If you are right-handed, you probably want the head of the puppet in your right hand, and your fingers will be, your left hand will be the legs. Okay? If you are left-handed, you're going to want the head in the left hand, and your fingers will be here. So that changes what side your thumb is on. Okay? What you would do, so assuming you're right-handed like me, so this is the head, legs, like that. Then you're going to want to cut into the back of here. Okay? Back there. With our scissors, what we're going to do is we're just going to, above these two fingers here, right? We're just going to make a little hole in this glove, but only one side. So I'm just going to cut open these two, and it's these two here, right? So these two in the glove, right? Just going to cut that open. Not too much, just enough, right? This is where our safety pin comes in, because what we're going to do is we're going to pin these two together. Safety pin. If you have the hot glue gun, again, you can do this with the hot glue gun. You're just going to join those two together, like that, without pinning yourself. Be careful, everybody. That goes on like that, to hold those. Now we're starting to see, oh, look at that. Okay? So the next thing we're going to need is to give some body shape in here. That is where our bit of stuffing comes in. We're going to get a bit, we're going to put it in, like that. How's his little tub? Might need a bit more than that. A bit more than that. Oh, that's about right. That's about right. A little bit of a belly there, a little bit of shape. Great. So we know how much we need. Brilliant. So, that's our body. That's going to be our stuffing. Super. So, once your head is dry, right, you can now start decorating it. Now this guy's just white, right? Unlike this guy with the brown paper, you see? So you might want to paint this, okay? Just use some poster paints or anything. You don't have to. What I am going to do though, and again, you don't need to do this, you can do it with a pen, is I'm going to put in some little 3D eyes, because I think it makes a big difference. So what you do is you just cut your pins down a little bit, just small. Okay, or you can use little map pins if you've got them, just little short pins like that. I'm going to find my little eye sockets, where do I want them, and then I'm just going to push that pin into the tin foil. And there I've got my little face. What I might add on is a mouth with this pen. I'm going to put a great big mouth on him, like a frog. There he is. There's his little face. So, now, how do we join these two together? Well, I will show you. What we do is this has to slip inside here, all the way down, right? And we want to be able to grab it with our fingers there, okay? Got it. I've got it. Then what we do is we get our chunk of stuffing. Remember we knew how much we needed? And we're going to put that inside there. Whoop. Come on, in you go. We're going to get it down over the cuff of the glove, because that's our neck. Now, so we've got our stuffing in, got our little metal section in there, see it? Okay. Now to operate it, all you have to do is when you reach in, see the bar there? You have to get your fingers over the bar, and then into the actual finger holes of the glove, right? So you can see I've got the bar over my finger, right? And then I pull up like this. And here we go. Here's our little puppet, ready to move. Oh, look at his little frog face. Hello, little froggy. What have you found there? Oh, there's people up there. Yes, froggy. And there he is, ready to go for a run and look around. All of the things, right? Now, for our people who were on the glue guns, once you have your head constructed, like so, yeah, all you do is you run a bit of hot glue around the inside of your glove there and just, connect him on, like that. You don't need the bar inside because the glove is now connected to the head. The only reason we need the bar is because we haven't got a hot glue gun and we don't want to go and pull that head clean out, right? And that's why we have the bar in here, yeah? And that's what allows us to pull up with the head but keep attached to the body. So this is the basis of our puppet, right? So we'll have a look here. So we've got this little guy who's the hot glue gun guy. This is the same as this guy, but he's halfway through. He's got a bit of elastic band around his neck to just give him a bit of a neck shape as well. Right? But he's the same, he's got the bar in there. So you should have now made something like this, except he'll be all finished with his little face. So obviously now the decoration can begin, right? We can put little bits of hair on. We can paint him. We can do whatever. We can put things on his body. In fact, let me get a little bit of fur and I'll show you what I mean. Oh, there you go. There's a bit of hair from there, right? Or a beard or something else. Yeah? So you can decorate these in any way that you want, but the basic operation will remain the same. Yeah? So, why did I want to show you puppets that looked like this? Because I'm going to show you the puppet who was the main character in Dragon. This is Younger. He's our main character. Now he looks a bit swish, doesn't he? Right? But in essence, he's not very much different to this little guy. Right? Younger's legs are a rubber glove. Younger is a tiny block of foam stapled on to a rubber glove. And all he has is a very nicely made head and some little wooden arms that come off. Right? But essentially, he works the same way as the puppet that you have just made. So, thank you very much everyone. I hope you've had fun making a puppet. Come on Younger, get out of the way.